Hi guys and welcome back to City Skylines. Now in this episode I've actually recorded using OBS and so far I haven't really seen any real difference in quality, but it does seem that OBS was a lot more laggy and I hope that's not going to show in the time-lapse, because even though it's recorded at 8 times the speed right now, it might actually still be laggy, but so far it seems to be okay, so I'm happy about that. And yeah, the reason I had to do that was because my computer right now is completely riddled with Fraps files, and they're huge, and I've got so many videos of this game, and so much stuff that I still need to come out, and that also poses a problem, which is something that I've already encountered in some of my videos of this series. It's the fact that the synchronization between the creator and the audience over here is not really the thing that it should be, because as soon as something goes wrong in one of my episodes, for example, you have that one highway, which I think I still didn't change the direction of, so it's still a crappy highway at this point, is something that I did change, and right now, as I'm saying this, I think I changed it a couple of days ago, but on the last video that I uploaded, it wasn't even changed yet, and that is a problem because I've been playing City Skylines pretty much 24/7 right now, that is, as long as I'm not sleeping or having test week. But yeah, the issue with that is, of course, I'm playing this more than I can upload videos of it, and that means that there are some synchronization troubles with this, but you know, it's not too big of an issue, and I still gladly make these time lapses because I still think that it's a bit better, at least in my opinion, than just a real-life gameplay, real-time I mean, what the hell, and for the main reasons that if you do it real time, then you're gonna have those problems where somebody builds a hydro dam. I'm just naming a random thing that could happen. I'm not saying this happened to every single Let's Player on YouTube ever, but imagine that I build a hydro dam and it takes me 10 minutes and 10 minutes of excruciating pain and torture of me placing that dam and sucking at it and actually drowning all of my people in my city. Then it wouldn't be 10 minutes of excruciating pain and torture, but a little over 1 minute, and that's a lot better, I suppose. And then there's the thing that, you know, I just like to play this game more for creating the city than the gameplay itself, so I think the videos also should be more about the progress and the city than me playing this game. And I might actually do some real-time stuff in the near future, probably in a couple of days, because so far I've only had time-lapses really, no real time to show off the city and explain where everything is. Now, this little area that I'm working on right now is something I also haven't explained yet. I decided that I would have some forest industry because it just looked cool. That was really the only reason I wanted to do that, and the look of my city is very important to me, so I wanted to try that forest industry. And the reason I placed all of those trees before I placed the industry is because I thought that you wouldn't be able to actually place the industry if you didn't have any trees over there, but it seemed like it still places the forest industry even if you don't have too much forest. So but I'm not entirely sure about that though, and then I was like, yeah, I might as well add a little neighborhood next to that. Pretty cute. I do like this area, and the only problem that I do have with that was, as you can see, the highway is extremely complicated at this point, just like most of my highways, because I did have that T-junction over there, and then I suddenly wanted to change it into a 4-highway interchange, and then it turned into this mess. It's working alright, but it's one big ramp fest, so I'm not going to change that though, because I do kind of like that in that respect, but it is not really the most beautiful thing ever, or the most realistic thing, or the most cheap thing, because shouldn't forget that these ramps aren't really cheap. It still costs me a lot of money to have all these highways with complicated ramp stuff, and it's kind of funny how the people in the city actually know exactly which ramps to take and where they should go on my highways, because they're so incredibly complicated. Even without the signs, I would feel like any normal person would get incredibly lost on my highways, which I would understand. And at this point, I took this area again, and I was like, okay, I've had enough of this stuff in my river. I don't want to have all these weird windmills in my river. I'm gonna use different green energy. I'm just gonna install the solar power plant, which actually saves me a lot of money too. So at this point, I am earning shitloads of money. And one thing that you can see though is that the industrial demand is extremely high, and yeah, that's also a time compression error over here, because Yeah, at this point I didn't even realize that office zones were actually industrial zones. I thought for a very long time that office was commercial. Now, it doesn't really seem to make too much sense if you look at the layout and you see it next to the industrial zone, but I was like, I completely had the SimCity mindset, and I almost feel like SimCity mindset is the one big pitfall for this game because it is not SimCity. But anyway, I was like, hey, I have my industry, I have my university, why is this industry not turning into the more educated kind of industry, or that high-tech industry? That's what I wanted in this case, but I didn't get that for the main reason that high-tech industry in this game kind of is the office zone. I actually heard some things about that you are able to get good industry if you actually raise the land value of the industry zones with parks and stuff like that, but I want to avoid parks at all costs, even though I love them and I'm so conflicted about this. I do want to keep the what's it called again, the density thingy for commercial zoning, the demand, that's the word, yeah. That's what I want to keep high, and for some reason, due to some bug, the demand seems to drop when you place parks, so I want to avoid this. And at that point, I installed the cargo station, and the traffic was completely destroyed by this thing. Like, there were trucks flying in and out of this building in very weird and glitchy ways, and suddenly this entire area was so crowded that I had to install a highway over here and then place that thing again, but even then that didn't work, and I was just like, yeah, whatever, this cargo thing doesn't really seem to work. So at some point I am actually going to rebuild the cargo train station over there. I'm going to reserve that spot for another train station, but I'm only going to open that as soon as I get an outside connection, so I can actually use that thing for, well, doing stuff with the outside, and then I can build an office zone around that, have the cargo train station supply my office zones with industrial goods from other cities, because I want to get rid of all the industry that I can in my city, because I don't like industry. And here is all the cars flying into the cargo station. It's ridiculous how much that was, so I was like, nope, that's not going to happen. I'm going to remove that, and this is going to be an industrial area with my weird kind of roundabout road section over here, because there was really not a lot of space over here. And then I had to install a ramp to the other side, and that was also kind of complicated. And yeah, I don't really know if this is the best idea for a section like this, but I was just like, damn, I have industrial demand, I need to place industry, and I did not realize that office zones would actually, well, get rid of all that demand for an industry. And I suppose that is an issue with time lapses, because I am sure this is a very relatable thing, but you know that sometimes you're just watching these Let's Plays and the person who's Let's Playing the game is sucking at something in the game, or the game in general, is like, no, you need to do this and this, but you can't tell them, of course, and you're just like sitting there in front of your screen going, blech, you need to do that, but you can't do that because he doesn't hear you, and you start face-palming yourself, and that is an effect I'm having with myself right now, my past self doing all these stupid things. Of course, he's not doing only stupid things, but some stupid things. I mean, the office thingy is not all that great. But then again, I do like these areas. I mean, the future Silver Red was pretty darn good at making these residential areas with parks and such. At this point I was actually building parks. Yeah, you can see that this was still the face of the game, where I didn't realize that parks would actually drop my commercial demand, and you can see that I have absolutely zero commercial demand despite having only a couple of commercial zones in my city, so that wasn't all that fortunate. However, I still do like the look of this area, so I suppose that's more important than the well-being of my citizens. I mean, the most important thing is that a city should look good, in my eyes, at least, in this game, at least, I suppose. And here comes my stupid naming of cities again. I'm pretty sure I called those cities Hong Kong and Singapore. Beautiful cities in real life though, so I was just like, okay, this is a nice new area, I'm going to name that after nice cities. But yeah, anyway, that's it for this episode, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next episode. And the next episode will be the episode in which I remove all of my parks, get tons of demand for commercial zones, and start redoing the entire downtown area. So that's going to be great, so I'll see you then.